The airlock hissed open, and 4 women stumbled through, 2 of them bleeding, one carrying another who could barely stand. Their skin was pale blue, their eyes burning amber, and the terror on their faces was universal. "Please," the one in front gasped. She wore what might have once been ceremonial armor, now scorched and cracked. "You're human. You have to be human." I kept my hand on my sidearm. Nexus 7 Station wasn't the kind of place where you trusted desperate strangers, no matter how beautiful or wounded they looked. "I'm a cargo pilot," I said flatly. "Name's Jacob Reeves. I haul scrap metal and dried protein between the Outer Rim colonies. Whatever you're running from, I'm not your guy. That's exactly why we need you." The leader took another step forward. Her companions huddled behind her, warriors, I realized, from the way they positioned themselves despite their injuries. Protecting something. Someone. The Velorian Confederacy has seized our homeworld. They've blocked every exit route. But human ships. She paused, her amber eyes searching my face. Human ships have trade immunity. They don't search you. I glanced at the woman being carried. She was smaller than the others, wrapped in a torn cloak that hid most of her features. Just another refugee, I thought. Another victim of another galactic war that had nothing to do with me. "What's so special about her?" I asked. The leader hesitated. "She's our queen, the last of the Valkorian bloodline. If she dies, our people have no legitimate claim to resist the occupation. They'll be absorbed into the Confederacy within a generation." A queen. Of course. Because my life wasn't complicated enough. "I'm not a smuggler," I said. "And I'm definitely not equipped to play escort for galactic royalty. We're not asking you to fight." The leader's voice cracked. "Just fly. Get us to neutral space. The Galactic Council station, at Meridian 4. That's all." I should have said no. Every instinct screamed at me to seal the airlock and boost out of here before whatever was chasing them caught up. This wasn't my war. These weren't my people. But then the queen raised her head. Her eyes were amber too, but darker, almost gold. And in them, I saw something I recognized. Not fear. Not desperation. Just exhaustion. The kind that comes from running too long, fighting too hard, losing too much. "I've heard stories about humans," she said softly. "That you fight for strangers, die for people you've never met." A pause. "Is it true?" I didn't answer. But I didn't close the door either. "Get inside," I heard myself say. "And stay quiet." 3 hours into our run, everything went sideways. Velorian warship, Mira, the leader, the Queen's head of security, announced from behind me. They're hailing us, demanding a cargo inspection. I looked out the cockpit viewport. The Confederacy cruiser hung in space like a predator waiting to strike, its weapons arrays gleaming in the starlight. My ship, the Dusty Horizon, was a 30-year-old Terran freighter held together by duct tape and stubbornness. Not exactly a fair fight. "Do they have inspection authority in this corridor?" I asked. "No. But then they're not getting one." Mira stared at me. "You can't just refuse a Velorian warship." "Watch me." "Oh." I flipped the comm switch. "Velorian vessel. This is cargo ship, Dusty Horizon, Terran Federation Registry. Your inspection request is denied per Human Federation Trade Protocol, Article 17C. I'm exercising my right to unimpeded passage." Static. Then a voice, cold and imperious. "Human pilot. You will submit to inspection or face consequences." "Negative. I've declared my cargo as per protocol. Scrap metal, dried protein, machine parts. You have no legal basis to board. We have intelligence suggesting you're harboring fugitives wanted by the Confederacy. Your intelligence is wrong." A pause. When the voice returned, it carried a new edge. "Little human. Do you understand what you're dealing with? Our ship could atomize yours before you completed a single sensor sweep. Then do it." I kept my voice steady. "Fire on a civilian Terran trade vessel in neutral space. I'm sure the Galactic Council will be very understanding about your reasons." Silence. "Also," I added, "my emergency transponder has been broadcasting since you hailed me. Every word you've said is being recorded and transmitted to Nexar Station. Hundreds of witnesses. Probably a few journalists too. Slow news day out here." The silence stretched longer this time. Behind me, I could feel the 4 Valkorian women holding their breath. The Queen had risen from her makeshift bed, her golden eyes fixed on my back. Finally, the Velorian commander spoke. "This isn't over, human." The connection cut. Slowly, the warship began to pull away. Mira exhaled sharply. How? How did you do that?" I leaned back in my chair. "Velorians understand power. What they don't understand is someone willing to call their bluff. They couldn't risk the diplomatic incident. That was insane. They could have killed us all, but they didn't. I turned to look at her. They're bullies. And bullies only push until someone pushes back. The Queen was still watching me. Something in her expression had changed. Curiosity, maybe. Or reassessment. You've done this before, she said quietly. Face down superior forces. It wasn't a question. I turned back to my controls without answering. We were 12 hours from Meridian 4. 12 hours from being done with this mess. But something told me it wasn't going to be that simple. They caught up with us, at the Corva Nebula. I'd been expecting it. The Velorians weren't stupid. They just needed time to get authorization for what came next. 3 ships, Mira reported, her voice tight, blocking the exit vector. And they're broadcasting a diplomatic override, claiming pursuit rights under the Fugitive Recovery Accord. That accord doesn't apply to Terran vessels. They're claiming the Queen is a war criminal. That changes the calculus. I pulled up the sensor data. 3 Velorian interceptors, each one fast enough to run us down and armed enough to blast us into atoms. The nebula's electromagnetic interference would block any distress call. They'd learned from their mistake. Human pilot, ... The voice on the comm was different this time, older, more confident. I am Commander Krythos of the Velorian 3rd Fleet. You are ordered to surrender your passengers immediately. Failure to comply will result in your destruction. On what authority? The authority of superior firepower. A cold laugh. We're no longer in sensor range of neutral stations. No witnesses, no recordings. Just you, your obsolete freighter, and 3 warships. I suggest you reconsider your position. The 4 women had gathered in the cockpit behind me. I could feel their fear, their desperation. They'd come so far, fought so hard, and now it was going to end here. In the depths of a nebula where no one would ever know what happened. Give us the Queen, Krythos continued, and we'll let you go. You have my word. Just a cargo pilot after all. No reason for you to die for aliens you've never met. I was quiet for a long moment. Then I reached under my console and pulled out a small metal case. Inside was a pendant, a silver eagle clutching a star. I hadn't worn it in 5 years. You ran my ship's registry, I said, slipping the chain around my neck. Did you run my name? Confusion in Krythos's voice. What? Jacob Michael Reeves. 20 years Terran Marine, Corps d'A. Sergeant Major. 3 tours, on the Krythian front. 2 on the hegemony border. I flipped a series of switches on my console. Systems I'd kept dormant for years hummed to life, decorated 16 times. Including the Nova Cross, first class. The Velorian commander went silent. Mira was staring at me. You're a war hero? I'm retired. I pulled up a secondary weapons array, military grade, hidden behind false panels. But I kept my toys. The Dusty Horizon had been a marine assault transport before I bought her at auction and converted her to cargo. Most of her weapons systems had been decommissioned. Most. Not all. Commander Krythos, I said calmly. I've transmitted my service record and current armament specs to your tactical officer. Take a moment, review them. Another long silence. When Krythos spoke again, his voice had changed. The arrogance was gone. Sergeant Major Reeves, the Ghost of Krythos Station. I don't use that name anymore. You held a position against 200 Krythian shock troops for 18 hours. Alone. They gave you up for dead 3 times. They were wrong 3 times. You're 1 man. And you're 3 ships. I let the words hang, but I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm just trying to leave. And you need to ask yourself, is capturing 1 refugee queen worth losing 2 of your interceptors? Because that's my minimum. The seconds ticked by. Behind me, the Queen moved forward. She placed 1 hand on my shoulder, a light touch barely there. You could have told us, she whispered. Didn't matter who I was before, only matters what I do now. The comm crackled. Velorian vessels are powering down weapons, Mira reported, disbelief in her voice. They're pulling back. Krythos's final message was terse. This isn't over, Reeves. It never is. The interceptors fell away behind us as I guided the Dusty Horizon through the nebula and toward open space. 12 hours to Meridian 4. And this time, we were going to make it. The Galactic Council Station at Meridian 4 was chaos when we arrived. Word had spread, somehow, it always did. And by the time I guided the Dusty Horizon into the diplomatic docking bay, there were already crowds waiting. Council representatives, refugee advocates, journalists from a dozen species. And at the front, a delegation of Valkorians who'd escaped earlier, their faces streaming with tears as the airlock opened. Queen Athara stepped out first. She cleaned up during the journey, traded her torn cloak for simple but dignified clothes we'd found in the cargo hold. She didn't look like a queen. She looked like a survivor, which was exactly what she was. Mira and the other 3 guards flanked her as she walked down the ramp to meet her people. For a moment she paused at the bottom, turned, and looked back at me. I stayed in the airlock, leaning against the frame. This was her moment. Her people. I was just the ride. But she walked back. The crowd went quiet as the last queen of Valkoria stood before a battered human cargo pilot, in a ship that was older than most of them. "Jacob Reeves," she said, her voice carrying. "You risked your life for strangers. You defied an empire for people you had no obligation to protect." She reached out and took my hand, a gesture that made several of the Valkorian delegates gasp. "My people, don't forget." "I don't forget. I was just doing a job." "No, Dot." Her golden eyes held mine. "You were being human." She released my hand and turned to address the crowd. I watched her go, watched her transform from exhausted refugee to queen, her shoulders straightening, her voice rising as she spoke of resistance, of hope, of a future her people would fight to reclaim. A Galactic Council official approached me with a datapad. "Mr. Reeves, the Council would like to offer you a commendation, and there's the matter of compensation. Keep it." I was already walking back toward my cockpit. "I've got a cargo run to finish, but sir, tell the Queen." I paused at the airlock. "Tell her to win her war. That's payment enough." I sealed the door before he could respond. The Dusty Horizons engines hummed as I lifted off from Meridian 4, leaving the crowds and cameras and politics behind. Just another jump, another delivery, another anonymous run through the dark between stars. My comm chirped. A message, text only, from a diplomatic frequency. "When we reclaim our world, there will be a place for you there, not as a soldier, not as a hero, as a friend. The door will always be open. Athara." I read it twice. Then I saved it to a folder I'd labeled personal, and hadn't opened in 5 years. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched into infinity. I was just a cargo pilot. That's what I told everyone. That's what I told myself. But sometimes, that's exactly what the galaxy needed. Someone who would say yes when everyone else said no. Someone who would stand up when everyone else stood aside. Someone who remembered that the universe was vast and cold and dangerous, but that didn't mean we had to be. Humanity, fuck yeah. I set my course for the next colony and let the autopilot take over. There was always more cargo to haul. And maybe, just maybe, more people who needed someone crazy enough to fight for them. The Dusty Horizon jumped to hyperspace. And Jacob Reeves, cargo pilot, former ghost, accidental hero, flew on into the dark.